Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous video, we discussed about the ng template. In this video, we are going to discuss about the content projection in Angular. So, content projection is a way to reuse a part of our data inside our whole application. For that, we must have at least two components. Now we have two components like the app component and the header component. Inside our header component, we will use the ng content, which is an element, or you can say the directive, which gives us the ability to reuse or the project the contents inside another part of the application. Now inside this component, the app component will comment this, and inside here we will use the app header, and we can say like here we can hello world. Now this content will be projected inside our app component. Now if we don't use the ng content, our project data will not be shown here inside our app component. So we will go to the browser ngs-o and let's comment this, and let's see what happens, whether the data shows inside the header component or not. So as you can see, there is no content data that is being projected from the header component. This is because it does not know where or from where the data is coming. So we will use the ng content to give it a clue that we are having a content projection and we want to project the contents of this header component inside our app component. So now this is the content which is coming from the app header component's projected content. Now you may ask why we use the app header component and all of its ng content or the content projection when we can directly use the data inside our app component where we using the header component like this one. Hello world. The data is same as it was in the app component. But what if we want to use some parts of the data of the header component inside our app component and some parts we don't want to include inside the app component? Then we will be unable to do that without using the content projection. Like here we have the hello world, and like here we can say authentication, and we don't want to include it inside our app component. We will be unable to do that without using the content projection. Like here we have both of these contents, but we don't want to include this authentication inside the app component. Then we can do that by using the ng content. So it makes our code reusable and also makes us able to show some parts of our data inside another component and some parts not. Like here we want to hide this part, then we can use like inside this we will use the maybe like we will copy this and paste it here, and let's, so as you can see this is coming. So now we don't want to include the authentication inside our application of the app component. this is coming, but we don't want to show. So what we can do here is that this is the one way of using the ng content. Like this is single slot content projection, means our data is coming from one source. Now we will use here the select attribute, which is for using the content projection as a multi-slot. Then we can say like only select those which have a p tag or the paragraph tag. Like this is the paragraph tag hello world, and if we want to include it here and we don't want to use the authentication or don't want to show the authentication, then we can change the name of this authentication paragraph. Like here we can say this is h1. So only the hello world is shown up inside the browser because it selects only the paragraph tags. Now we can also use the class inside that component. Like the content of that header component will not be shown if here we have the .p, which means it will select only those which have a class named p. Now as you can see, there is no data on the browser because it selects only those with having the classes p. So if we specify the class as p in the hello world, you can see here in the browser that the hello world is now shown up inside our browser. We can also use the id, like we can copy this and paste it here. We can also use the tag and also as an attribute like this. So now here we will say this content should be shown only when the class p is applied. Like here this content will be shown. Now for the id, we will use the id here instead of the class. Like here we say content projection using class. Here we can say copy this content projection using id. Now we will copy this and paste for 2 times because we also have a paragraph tag and also as an attribute. So we will use only here the p as an attribute, and inside here we will not use it as and just will use it as a tag using tag name using attribute. So all these should be shown here inside our browser instead of, and this should not be shown inside our application. So as you can see, all the data coming from the data here inside our app component. Now the data is now shown up from the ng contents projection, which is dot. Like for class we have dot, and for id we have hash, and for the tag we have the paragraph tag. Like here we have just the paragraph tag, and inside for the attributes we have the square brackets. So all our content is now shown up here inside the browser. So this is how we use the ng content to make our content reusable inside our application. So thanks for watching the video and stay tuned for more video lectures like this one.